When you think of Fiat, most locals will remember the Dobbio or Fiorano as affordable and decent cargo vans, or the Bravo, which was actually quite a fun manual car to drive. But today there is only one model available in their showroom, and while many can recognize it, most of us don't see them on the roads. I'm of course referring to this, the Fiat 500. Pretty cute, right? But is it fun to drive as well? Let's find out. But before we begin, do remember to subscribe if you haven't already and click on the bell icon. The Fiat engineers tried their best to maintain the proportions and styling of the original 500. Everything is mini size, from the headlights, LED DRLs, low mounted grille and fog lights. You also get thin chrome pieces dotted around the car to give the new 500 some retro looks as well. No matter which angle you look, this car has a sort of egg shape, including these very cute side indicators over here. And you don't have to walk far to reach the rear of the 500, as this car is so damn short. Fiat offers 16-inch wheels as standard, and even though these are only 16, these look damn big on a car like this. The rear of the 500 has a very clean and simple design with a sloping tailgate, squarish taillights, and a chrome boot release with 500 stamped on it. You even get a rear wiper for your cute little window. Of course, with such a compact car, you won't get massive amount of boot space. Just 185 liters with the seats up. You can fold the seats down 50-50, but they don't fold completely flat. So you may have an issue fitting larger items in the boot. You also get this extremely cute parcel shelf, which can barely fit a tissue box. Adventurous trip to IKEA? Maybe not so in this car. Crucially, Fiat avoided changing too much of the 500's design formula, and much of its appeal lies in its retro looks, which hark back to the original. This is a textbook example of classic styling brought into modern times, and I honestly quite like it, even though I will admit this is a little too cute for me. Now, let's hop in and check out the interior. Of course, being such a compact car, space in the back isn't really meant for rear passengers, but if you really want to, you could technically squeeze two adults in the rear, but they won't have access to headroom or any legroom at all. Still, you get two cup holders, and interestingly enough, ISOFIX points for your child seat if you wish to travel around with young children. The front is a bit more spacious, and the 500 is best used as a two-seater car. Your front seats are made of leather and are fully manual, and you can adjust them by your standard rails and your levers located on the inside. However, crucially, the seats do not go any lower than this. And this is a problem for me on longer drives, as I'm quite uncomfortable. I would wish the seats were slightly lower to make it more ergonomic. Additionally, the footwell is quite cramped, so my left leg doesn't really have a comfortable position when I'm driving. It's quite interesting to be in the 500. On one hand, you have a digital instrument cluster which is styled to look retro. But on the other hand, you have stuff like your HVAC aircon controls and your aircon vents, which really are retro and look like they came from a car from the early 2000s. I'm not complaining though, as these are all physical controls and it makes it very easy to adjust settings rather than tapping it on a screen. The biggest difference between the 500 and other cars is probably the gear shifter. This isn't your typical PRNDL layout, and new drivers may be quite confused when they first look at it. You also get a physical handbrake, and I don't know about you, but I still like the feeling of pulling a physical handbrake. You get a 7-inch touchscreen called U-Connect. It's not bad to use, and it's pretty responsive, but it is a bit too small for today's standards. And it's angled a bit too high, which is not in a nice position for the driver to view. Still, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which you can plug in and use. It's quite a nice touch. Another interesting touch is the 6-speaker system in the car, which has a feature that increases the volume as you drive faster. So you can make this car quiet at the traffic light. and then blast tunes down the expressway. Overall, while the 500 has quite an outdated interior and are mostly made of plastics, it's still not bad overall, as everything is where you want it to be and everything just works as intended. Now, let's see how she fares on the roads. So here are the headline figures for the Fiat 500. You have a tiny 875cc turbocharged 2-cylinder twin-air engine, giving you 84 brake horsepower and 140 Nm of torque. You get a 5-speed automatic single-clutch transmission, and the 0 to 100 km/h time is 11 seconds. Its top speed is 172 km/h, and the fuel efficiency is 26.3 km/L from the manufacturer. Even though this has a tiny engine which is smaller than some motorbikes, because the car is so light, you don't need that much power to get going, and the engine is sufficient to keep up with other motorists. Even so, don't expect to cut fast into other lanes driving this. The 500 still needs some time to warm up and coax in order to get it up to speed. You feed all 84 brake horsepower to the front wheels via a 5-speed automatic single-clutch gearbox. There is no park, only neutral, reverse, and your forward gears. Fiat even threw in pedal shifters, or more importantly, a sequential shifter for you to roll the gears yourself. And you'll be very familiar with this if you're someone who frequents the Initial D machines at the arcade. Because each gear shift takes about 6 months to complete due to the single-clutch design, driving in full automatic mode can be quite a laggy and jerky experience, especially accelerating from a standstill. Once you get up to speed, it's fine, but at low speeds, there is a very noticeable delay when you're changing gears. That's why ever since I've been driving this car, I've only driven it in manual mode. It's more fun to use anyway. Minus the jerky transmission, the ride quality is not bad for a compact car. You will still feel bumps in the road, and the steering feel is a little more on the stiffer side. But this makes the 500 actually fun to go around corners in, especially since the rear wheels are positioned right at the corners of the car. This makes it very stable and gives you the confidence to take corners at higher speeds. Fuel consumption is decent too, as the engine is so tiny and there's not much car to lug around. But Fiat claims that this car can do 26.3 km/L, which is honestly a bit high. During my tests, I've averaged around 13.8 km/L through city driving, so that's more realistic, I guess, in terms of figures. The 500 was designed to be a city car, and its tiny form means driving into any car park is literally a piece of cake. Parking is the easiest thing to do. Fiat doesn't supply you with a reverse camera on the screen, but honestly, who needs one? All you need to do is to employ an HO technique which people used to do in the past, which is turn around and just look where you're going. Because the visibility is so good in this car, you can basically see everything outside, and parking is a breeze. See? Job done. Yes, it is underpowered, and yes, this gearbox does take time to get used to, but that said, the 500 is still quite a charming car to drive. Instead of the usual full power, slam the throttle kind of driving, you need to instead employ a more momentum style driving. If you can do that, then this car will be very fun to drive. So now the biggest question is, who exactly is this car for? If you want practicality, you're probably better off buying other cars. If you're looking for speed, again, you're probably better off buying other cars. Plus, at the time of this video, this car is 139k, which is not exactly cheap. If you are someone who wants a retro looking car, and you want something that attracts stares on the roads, and you're not those kind of basic, I'll just get a Mini or Beetle kind of person, then maybe this car can be one of your considerations. It isn't fast, nor is it very practical, but crucially, this car gives a very special, happy feeling, which most cars don't give today. It has personality, and that is why I feel the Fiat 500 is still quite a charming car today. That's it from me. Do remember to like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you again on another episode of mReview.